Good morning, guys.
Good morning, sir.
What are we doing today?
We're gonna go hike up a mountain.
Swiss cheese, counterfeit these nigga bitches. I'm talking about running off with pounds, man, you know I'm with it. I'm talking about chop 100 round, man, they get the FIFA.
I be the one breaking down. Yeah, baby. Got up.
Why did we start
Yeah.
719 Auto Customs? Well, it's actually a funny story. The reason 719 Auto Customs came to be is because back when I had a normal job, I went and got my windows tinted. I paid like $500, $600. The guy took 2 hours. He tinted all my cars. And I remember thinking to myself, this guy just made $500 to $600 off me in 2 hours. So that means if he's doing, let's say just 3 cars a day, low side, this dude's clearing $1,500 a day. And from right there, I was hooked. I immediately called him and told him, we're starting a window tint company. And he was like, why? And I was like, because this dude just made $500 off me in 2 hours. This dude's billing $250 an hour if you broke it down like that. And it blew my mind. So for 9 months from the day I got my cars tinted, I sat in a 300 square foot garage till I usually work from 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. And I'd sit there and I self-taught myself how to window tint, how to shrink, how to install it, how to disassemble cars, the entire 9. So that way we could start charging customers money and building 719 Auto Customs.
Honestly, I don't give up, and I know he doesn't give up. And it wasn't a question about what if we can't do it. We knew we would do it. That's the thing, is being successful isn't if you already start thinking about how you're gonna lose, you've already lost. You're accepting defeat before you even attempted to even try to be successful at something. So you just need to get that out of your head right now. If you keep focusing on the negatives and what if this bad thing happens? Well, what if it doesn't happen? What if this happens? You gotta cut that shit out early on, because you're just going to
You're feeding negativity.
yeah, and you're just accepting defeat before you even accomplished what it is that you want to accomplish. So I'd say that the biggest thing is just push forward and not give up. That's really all it is. You just have to sit there day in, day out, get kicked in the nuts, and get back up again and do it the next day.
All right, they're out the car, nostrils are burning. We were terrified. So I remember the most vivid moment I remember of ever being scared was our first customer. And I remember at this time, he still didn't know how to window tint. I was teaching myself, but I had tinted all of my family's cars. I had tinted my lady's car at the time. I had tinted my car at the time. And there was no more cars, so I needed to do someone. And I still wasn't charging, but I was terrified to ask anyone to let me work on their car because I was afraid of rejection. So stupid. It was the number one thing that I regret is I regardless of the fact that I was scared, I still did it. I needed a customer. I walked over to my neighbor's house and I asked him if he would be willing to let me tint his car for free. And I was terrified because I was like, what if he says no? That's all he's gonna say is no. It doesn't affect anything long term. He doesn't want his car tinted. Who cares? Move on to the next customer. There's millions of people in Colorado Springs where we are based. Our headquarters is based. And don't be afraid to take the risk. That was the most vivid moment I remember of being like, my first time being scared in the business was that.
I'd say also when signing the first shop, I think we had our first 10K month, and
it was out of the garage, had a 10K month.
out of his parents' garage, and then we were like, it's time to go get a shop. So he started looking and touring for shops, because at this time I was still working full time at my normal 9 to 5. And what I would do is when I was off, I would come help, or I would call out on days that I knew we were busy. So I can make sure that, we're bringing in as much money as possible so we can help achieve our goals that we had. And I mean, rent was 40, what was it? 40,
It's like $4,200.
$4,200
for our.
It was like 1,500 square feet. And we only did 10K.
Yep. And
So half of revenue was going straight to rent.
But right off the rip, the reason rent was so expensive is because we did not want to be in the ghetto. That was the number one thing we did not want to do. There was rent for buildings, bigger buildings, more lobby space, more workspace, but they were nasty. They were in the ghetto, they looked gross, and we didn't want to be around that because I knew if I'm gonna build a great company and I'm gonna build a great thing, someone with a car, anything over 50 grand, they're not dropping it off in the hood. And if they are, we don't want those customers anyways because they're looking for the cheapest option. I knew from day one, we did not want to be the cheap shop. I didn't want to be known as the cheap shop. I didn't want the ghetto clients. I didn't want the nasty people. We wanted to start servicing good people that had a little bit more money to spend because those are always the customers that are the easiest to deal with. When you're focusing on getting the cheapest clients, you're gonna get a cheap client and then you go redo the job 4 times for no reason and they're still gonna leave you a 1-star and dispute it through their bank. So take the advice right off the rip. The number one thing I never regretted was being in a nice area because not only being in a nice area, it shows your clients that you're a professional business. We met other business owners in the same complex that had established businesses that were able to help give us advice, help us grow, and became little mentors to us because at the time, like I said, we're only doing 10K. Some of these places near us were doing 50K a month, 60K a month, 70K a month. And we got to go over there and just peek into their operations. They weren't doing the same industry as us. They were still automotive related, but that really helped us out a lot because we were able to talk to people that were in a nice area. You go to a ghetto area, you're gonna have ghetto people near you because it's cheap.
One of the biggest challenges I think Caleb and I faced early on, this was before we hired any employees, was learning how to handle customer conflict. It was probably one of the hardest things to go through because we were very confident in our work, but were we as good as people who were doing it that have been doing it for 10 years? No, it's just you won't be. You'll never be until you get the experience under your belt. So like, for example, everything was self-taught, right? So we started taking on PPF customers. And I very vividly remember we had this Rivian R1S. He just bought it when the Rivian R1Ss came out. They're like $120,000. He brought it to us and everything looked phenomenal. One mistake. We had a subcontractor from another shop come and help us with the window tint. Well, we expected that if we're paying this guy to do a job, he's going to do it correctly and we don't need to watch him or make sure he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. So never ever expect someone to do what they're supposed to be doing just because you pay them money. That's not how it works.
Just because they put out good quality where they work doesn't mean they're going to put out good quality for you.
Because again, they don't work for you.
They're just
they don't care if they get fired. So came over, tinted all the windows. We didn't QC it. Stupid. I'd say, what was it, like 4 or 5 days goes by, guy shows up. He's pissed. Our front desk person at the time, Lene, she comes to the back. She's like, hey, customer here, you want to speak to the owners. And again, this was probably one of the first customer conflicts. Him and I were shaking in the back of the shop. Like literally I could stick my hand out and it was all jittery, heart was racing. Adrenaline was going through the roof, and we didn't even know if it was going to be bad, but just not
expecting the worst.
Yeah, just not having the experience of knowing how to talk to people, you just expect the worst. We go out there, come to find out, on the rear quarter windows in the Rivian, they're square quarter windows, there was a light gap probably about this big on both sides.
And the reason we missed it, because I know you might be thinking, well, why did you miss it? Why did you check it? Well, one, first mistake that he already said, we didn't QC it. But two, the customer got a light film. So until you're like really looking hard, you couldn't really see it. And that's not an excuse, but it slipped our minds. We fucked up.
These are mistakes we're telling you so you guys don't make. Don't make these dumbass mistakes. Because it's not fun to deal with, I'm telling you. But yeah, light gaps. And then he started looking at the PPF. Well, mind you, this was probably the 3rd PPF we ever did. So it was
good for the time. It was terrible to our expectations now.
Yeah. And Well, the guy was losing it, wanted everything refunded. At the time, we were pushovers for customers. If they were upset, we did whatever we could to make sure they were happy.
It didn't matter if we lost money, if we looked stupid. It could have been a simple, like, let's just swap it. They're like, we want a refund. We were like, okay.
Yep. There went $3,000 down the drain, and
Lost all the material.
my biggest advice when starting a business, especially if you're customer based, well, almost all are customer based, but specifically like retail, you need to learn how to deal with customer conflict very early on, because if you don't, every time you have a confrontation with someone who's upset, you're just going to get ran over out there. And you need to know how to control the conversation, set the correct expectations, and set boundaries very early on. If you know it's acceptable, then
Go with your gut.
go with your gut.
But that's what he just said. That's the perfect piece of advice that we missed. We didn't learn to set correct customer expectations for probably over a year.
Yeah.
And that's what the problem was. It could have been a phenomenal PPF job, but if you didn't set the expectation, hey, there's going to be a seam here, or hey, this might happen here, or hey, this is what the curing process is. We didn't used to do that. We assumed, hey, this guy gets PPF on all his cars. He knows the gist.
Came and dropped off his car, took his keys, we're like, all right, we'll get it done for you.
That's the complete wrong way to go about it. Setting expectations with the customer is the number one thing you need to do as a shop owner or as a service-based industry. That way your customer knows what they're receiving with you. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. If they've gone somewhere else, that shop or that storefront set expectations with them. This is what you're buying. This is how we're going to do it. This is the end product. We didn't do that, and we just left it up in the air because we just assumed customers understood, and that is completely the wrong way to go about it. That's them our advantage.
Working out of tiny spaces. We know this all too well. It wasn't really that bad, honestly.
There's pros and cons.
First shop we signed on to was the workspace. So the entire shop was like 1,300 square feet. The workspace was like 900. You could fit 2 trucks in there at once. You couldn't fit nothing else in there. So it was very hard to maneuver and everything. And on top of that, it had no AC. So when we signed the lease, it was April. Well, from April to May in Colorado, it's not that hot. Once end of May happens, it starts getting extremely hot, and there's no AC. So not only were we crammed into tiny spaces, overworking ourselves, trying to make sure we can get shit done so we can, make more money so we can grow, we were sweating our asses off, man. I mean, we're both 6'3", trying to get in the back of these tiny ass sedans, putting in the back last, tinting these cars. It was just absolutely miserable. And we did it every fucking day for an entire year before we finally moved on to the next shop. So biggest advice is, honestly, don't get the biggest shop when you first start.
It looks cool, but you don't need all the space. Anytime we've ever upgraded to a shop, and we've broken multiple leases to do this because we've grown so quickly, every single time we always get less space than we need, because why add more overhead just to add more overhead?
You will make it work.
Having a smaller shop, it sucks, but we've always made it work. Even when we had a team of 10 people in our second location, it was tight, it was crammed, it was uncomfortable, but we got it done. And that's when it really boils down to what type of systems do you have in place to get these cars done correctly, on time, to the quality that your customers are coming to you for. That's what really matters. The amount of space you have doesn't matter. I guarantee you could put me and Nathan in a 1,500 square foot shop, and I can do over $1 million a year just out of that one 1,500 square foot shop, because we know the systems that need to be in place to make sure stuff gets done correctly. I'm not saying there isn't challenges with it. There's a lot of cons to having not enough space, but at the end of the day, don't let that be an excuse on why you can't be successful.
I say when we got our first exotic, I was like, okay.
Exotic customer car?
Yeah.
First exotic customer car?
I was like, okay.
Then a McLaren?
Yeah. I say when we got our first exotic, that was the time when I was like, all right, I think we're finally a shop now.
I think for me, the first time I felt legit was when we officially passed every shop in Colorado Springs at first in Google reviews, because the two other biggest hitting shops have been around both. I think the lowest time was 11 years. The other one's in 20 years. And we passed them in Google reviews. And that was a very proud moment for me because of how hard we work and how many customers were actually happy with our service that they were willing to leave us Google reviews. I think that's when I felt a smidge legit. I think it was the first time I got a little taste of it.
Every day, think of the next day you're about to go out of business. And the reason why I say that is because you need to work like it's not a set in stone thing. Like at any moment, someone's going to take it away from you. And if you think that way, not in a negative way, but you do it in a positive way, you're never going to not figure it out.
Yeah. Every day, it didn't matter if we worked a 17-hour day, we got up on time the next day, and we got the next day done. Because at any point, when you're a small business, you got a million things running through your mind, especially if you're growing. So one of the biggest challenges me and Nathan faced also with slow months and growing, it's very hard to grow when you're slow. The best way to grow is to spend money. Well, when you're slow, you don't have money, especially as a small business. In the beginning of a business, you might be only pulling 20 grand a month, but you need 15 grand to hire the amount of people you need. Well, what do? Well, now you and whoever it is, or if it's your solo or you got a partner or you do have an employee, you guys got to go into every single day attacking it as if you're 4 people, because you can't make more money unless you're going to overwork yourself, especially in the beginning time. As a founder, you need to be ready to spend every waking second, minute thinking about the business, working on the business, and bettering the business. And if you're not going to, you're going to get run over.
You're just not going to succeed.
You're going to get run over. You're going to have someone like us coming past you.
For example, early days in our business, for a year, it said we were open 7 days a week, 24 hours on Google. And people would call us.
Midnight, I'd answer the phone, 719 Auto Customs, how can I help you?
And we'd get it done. We would go to the shop, 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m., and tint a fucking car.
Yep. We didn't make excuses. It was me and him and Lene. She was our front desk / sales. But in the very beginning of the day, before he was able to quit his full-time job and Lene was able to quit her full-time job and come over, I was at the shop every day by myself. I was doing front desk. I was doing sales. I was doing upselling. I was doing the tinting. I was QCing the cars. I was pulling the cars out. I was checking out the customers. I was ordering film. I was paying everything. I mean, I did the job of 3 people. And that was because I couldn't afford to hire anyone part-time or full-time because there was not enough money. There needed more money. And the only way to make more money is to do more work.
You guys may not like this advice, but I'm not here to bullshit you.
Suck it up.
Yeah. There's no correct way to deal with stress. You just have to sit there and it is what it is. If you can't handle stress, you're not going to succeed in business.
As you grow in revenue, stress becomes bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. We're not a $100 million company yet, but I'm sure the CEOs of a $100 million company have a completely different stress than we have now. And the stress that I had back when we first started the shop it's nothing, because it's a part of the game. And if you're not willing to play the game, you're going to lose. You have to be willing to play the game. And the game is waking up every single day and being 1% better. And if you're not willing to do that and you're not willing to change who you are, me and Nathan talk about it to this day. I am a new Caleb and he is a new Nathan every 1 to 3 months. I feel like a completely different person because we're always growing, evolving, and it doesn't matter how uncomfortable or shitty it is, we take care of it and get it done.
It's not about the stress going away, it's just about your level of tolerance. As you grow in business, you'll be able to tolerate more and more and more and more to where eventually you're numb to it, right? But if you can't handle it in the beginning, you're just going to fail. So you just kind of have to figure out what it is that you want. Do you want this life, or do you want to work a 9 to 5 the rest of your life? Well, there's trade-offs for both. So figure out what you want.
Yep. Making bad investments as a business owner. Me and Nathan have burned easily $1 million.
Oh yeah.
Lit it on fire with stupid decisions, bad investments. The number one thing that I think of immediately right off the rip, I wouldn't even call it an investment. It was just being stupid spending money. As we started to grow, making 50, 60, 70, 80K a month, our bills grew the exact same. 50, 60, 70, 80K a month. We bring in 80K in revenue in a month. I'd be so excited, so happy. And then I would go look at our Amex and we had $80,000 in bills. And I'm like, what the fuck are we spending money on? And I would go through the Amex. I'm like, man, we spent $2,000 at Chipotle this month. Just buying stupid shit. Because the number one thing that it took us a little bit to learn is you start seeing a lot of money coming in. You're like, oh, we're making $2,000 a day, $4K a day, whatever it is. You start thinking money's free. You can just spend it on anything. And a business naturally wants to spend money, and you have to stop it. And you have to go, we're not spending money. We don't need it. It's not increasing revenue. It's not needed. That was the first real moment when I realized we were spending money on stupid shit.
So some amazing advice our CFO gave us is the $3 bucket.
I remember.
What you should be spending money on is 3 things. And these 3 things directly affect revenue. 1, labor.
Yep.
2, materials.
3 is ads. 3 is
so if you're
marketing.
going to be spending money, these are the 3 things that you should be spending money on at all times. Because those are the 3 things that are going to make you more money. Don't be blowing money on decorations when you're first starting out. Don't be blowing money on the cool shit or tools, or I don't know what it is that you may be spending money on if you're struggling with it. But for us, I'd say we would just, I really don't know what we've spent money on.
We were just buying stuff to buy stuff. We didn't start spending money on decorations officially until 3 months ago when we just moved into our 3rd shop. We finally did a build out. And the reason because it wasn't affecting revenue to have a gross shop. Did I enjoy it? No. Did I like the way it looked? Absolutely not. But it wasn't making us more money to have a nicer shop. But that goes back to also location. We chose to not be in a ghetto area, which dramatically helped us with not having to spend a lot of money on physical appearance when your customer walks in the building. Our building was already a nice building. It was already a clean lot. It wasn't nasty. It wasn't ghetto. So that dramatically saved us money long term. That's money that we did not have to pour back into the business. We are now at a point where we're the highest rated shop in the state. There's a standard that our customers expect, and now we're able to deliver that when they walk in, and it's a beautiful building. It's a nice lobby, brand new furniture. In the back of the shop, we have custom lights everywhere. All the walls are painted. Everything's beautiful and pristine, but we didn't get there overnight because it didn't make us more money. And it's still not making us more money. There comes a point in business where you just have to level up your game, and this is just where we're at. We're a part of that. We're at that point.
Learning how to manage employees.
It is in the top 3 most important things, and the main reason is because your team dictates everything. It dictates what your customers think. It dictates the quality of the service you're putting out. It is the backbone of your company. You don't see Nike or Adidas or any major brand and they run like shit. You walk into a 5-star hotel and everyone is on point. It is yes sir, no sir. They're holding the doors for you because that is the standard at that company. And for the longest time, me and Nathan did not have a standard.
We didn't set the standard.
We thought we're gonna be our employees' best friends.
Yeah, we let shit fly.
You should have been written up. You showed up late. You showed up drunk. It's okay. Please don't do it again. I'm mad at you, but please don't do it again.
We would hang out with them outside of work for a little bit, and we started realizing you can't be their friend.
You got to draw a line. I get along We get along with everyone on our team. I love my team to death, and I would put my team up against anyone. But at the end of the day, there has to be a line where you draw it and say, hey, we all get along, we're all great, but we're here for a common goal, and that starts with the standard of the company, so everyone can work towards that goal and maintain the standard of wherever it is that you work. It is the most important thing, because there's nothing worse than delivering a phenomenal product and the customer's pissed off about miscommunication, not setting expectations. They're upset that they heard someone cussing in the place and they feel that it's disrespectful, or whatever it might be. There's so many little things. Do not be your employee's best friend. It is the worst mistake, because the second it's time to yell at them, write them up, fire them, you don't want to do it because it's extremely uncomfortable. You've met their family, you're hanging outside of work with them. It makes being a business owner harder. If you want to have a mom and pop shop and have a high paid 9 to 5, be your employee's best friends. If you want to build a company, don't do it. It's not worth it.
Business does not care how you feel. And what I mean by that is a business works on input and output, right? It doesn't work on if you're happy or you're sad. It works on how hard are you going to work and how fast are you going to get the service or product that you have out of the business to the customer. Because your competition is already working 10 times harder than you. You think they're waking up talking about how tired they are and today's just not the day. I'm having some family issues and I'm going through a slump right now. The business doesn't give a fuck. You're going to get ran over. You need to be focusing on how can I work harder than everyone else. It's all about working harder, because in order to get to the next level, you're just going to have to sit there, suck it the fuck up, and attack the day, right? You can't be taking time off. You can't be spending time with your family. You can't be going on holidays. You can't be going on trips. You can't be doing none of that, because if you do, that's fine. Me and Caleb don't. So if you want to take time off, have at it. I want you to take time off, because we're just going to come in and we're just going to work 10 times harder. It probably took us, honestly, about 1.5 years to actually truly understand how the numbers work. Caleb and I, for the longest time, could never figure it out. We never understood it. We never understood how to read a balance sheet. We never understood how a P&L worked. We didn't understand what your CAC is. What is your lifetime value of a customer? What is ROAS?
I didn't think it mattered.
Yeah, we didn't know none of those things. And
it's the number one thing that matters. It's work your numbers backwards. You need to focus on profit. So if you have a company and you guys are doing $50K a month, you need to know to the pinpoint, at $50K a month, we're making $20K profit. At $60K a month, we're making $55 profit. That is how you need to operate your business. You need to figure out all of your expenses and factor it into every single job. And you need to know, okay, every customer that walks through the door, it costs me $200 all in. So I need to at least charge $400 to maintain a 50% margin per customer, or whatever the math is in your industry. You need to work the numbers backwards, because we thought, well, we're doing 80K, let's just stop spending money on Chipotle, or let's stop spending money here, let's stop spending money here. And it didn't make a difference. It's because we were underbidding and underpricing 90% of our jobs. We were overpaying in film. We were doing a million things wrong. We thought the more leads we got, the merrier. Not, hey, let's get a certain amount of leads and work them, follow up, upsell them. Let's see what we can do to acquire the most amount of money per customer. We thought the more the merrier, and it's the complete wrong way to go about it.
Stop making decisions based on how you feel. Every decision you make in business needs to be based off of the data you have in front of your face. And if you don't have any data, then you're going to lose. And you need to sit there and figure out what data you need for your industry and how that directly impacts everything. For example, for us, one of the most important things right now that we've been really dialing in is our CAC. And what your CAC is your cost to acquire the customer. It's not your cost per lead, it's your cost to acquire the customer. And the way that works is, let's say your cost per lead is $17, right? Well, You only closed, you got 10 leads in a week. You only closed 3. You didn't spend $17 to acquire those 3 customers. You probably spent $70 to acquire those customers. So your numbers are completely wrong if you're focusing on your cost per lead. Film. You need to be knowing exactly to the inch in our industry, how much film does it cost to do this window, right? These are numbers that you need to be focusing on, because if you start making decisions based on how you feel or what you think's the best, you're already lost. You need to be looking at a piece of paper that's going to tell you exactly what you need to be doing.
Numbers don't lie.
Numbers do not lie. And if you don't like your numbers, well, you better figure out how to like them.
Something we did very early on is because we knew our numbers were terrible. I didn't want to look at them.
We were scared to open the bank account.
I didn't want to open the bank account. As long as payroll was made and rent was good, I was happy. We would have meetings with our CPA and I would cancel, because every time we got on a meeting, he'd tell us how, in a polite, professional way, how shit we're operating this company. And I didn't want to believe it. I kept saying, oh no, we just need to stop spending money on this, this, and this, and it'll fix it. And that costed us hundreds of thousands of dollars of what could have been profit at the time. And we're telling you to not make the same mistake.
I'm talking about running off with pounds, man, you know I'm with it. I'm talking about chop 100 round, man, they get to flipping. A man down, man.